How to sell products on Amazon that you never have to touch. Let's get into it. So, if you are wondering, do people actually make six figures selling products on Amazon? How can I set up an income stream that allows me to work from home or from anywhere? And is selling on Amazon even worth it anymore? Is it realistic to make money now? We're at the end of 2021 and moving into 2022. So, we'll answer all of those questions. You are in the right place. So here I have a student who was feeling probably some of the things that you all might be feeling. Is this real? Is this something I can actually do? And she was able to find a product to sell on Amazon, and we'll get into the logistics, how the whole thing works in just a little bit. But I wanted to give you a little bit of confidence to know that, Shayla's a college student. She was able to do this, and you can too. So keep an open mind as we talk through the process. What we will cover today, we're going to cover the secrets of continual recurring income on Amazon, the number one mistake new sellers make. In fact, it's the same mistake I made when I started on Amazon as well, and how to avoid it. And then, of course, the framework for choosing products that will generate sales. So, just a quick little blurb about me. My name is Abby. I'm an Amazon seller. I've been doing this for just about 3 years now. I did work in a corporate job for 3 years before I started to sell online. Well, actually, 2 years. And then 2 years into that job, I did start selling my products online and quit right at the 3 year mark to do this full time. And then I don't want to spend too much time going into the background, but really for me, my decision to leave my 9 to 5 job had a lot to do with my mental health. I don't know if anyone can identify with that, but I was miserable. I'm just gonna say it plain and simple. I wasn't happy, the job wasn't fulfilling me. And I also felt that I wanted to have more control over my time, over my money. And I looked for lots of different ways to start making money online. And the only thing that really stuck for me was Amazon FBA. So we'll get more into the details, but just for a little bit of a timeline of how everything worked for me. Within 6 months of selling on Amazon, I was making 5 figures a month. 6 months after that, I hit my first 6 figures with Amazon FBA. And I say that hopefully to give you a little bit of inspiration to know that me had no background in business, no background in online selling or sourcing products. And it was something that I was able to figure out. And that's what I'm going to share with you today. So for me, what I realized was selling on Amazon had everything to do with these three things right here: mindset, resourcefulness, execution. And I am talking a little bit about mindset because it has a big impact on, for anyone who is new to being an entrepreneur or maybe just starting a side hustle. Maybe you don't want to do Amazon FBA full time. You just want to make a little bit of extra money. It's very important to remember these three things. So mindset, just being in that state of mind and having that attitude that you can do whatever you put your mind to, which I know sounds like common sense, but for me personally, I had a lot of limiting beliefs in the beginning stages of my business and just feeling like I wasn't good enough or feeling like I didn't have, enough business savvy or enough smarts to really be able to do this and be successful. So that was an important shift I had to make internally before I was able to see success with my business. Resourcefulness, being willing to seek out those answers and be willing to put in the work. And that is actually the last thing here: execution. Having the right mindset can only get you so far. You definitely have to be willing to put in the time and put in the work so that this can pay off for you. So let's talk a little bit about what this business is, because I haven't gotten into the details yet. So what I do is I private label products. And if you've never heard of this term before, private labeling is a term that describes buying products in bulk. So you're buying large amounts of product and you are putting your own brand on the product. So as you can see here from this image, if you were to maybe sell an oil, you could literally have somebody make the oil for you, and then you would go ahead and have your own logo put onto these products. I know that that probably sounds a little bit confusing. It's actually a lot simpler than what it probably sounds like. All I do is I go on the website fiverr.com. I'm sure some of you have heard of it before, but I go on this website, I type in brand logos, and you'll see a whole bunch of freelancers who are able to create a logo for you. They make the logo, and then you send the logo to the supplier, who will then be able to attach your logo onto either the product itself or the product packaging. So that is how private labeling works. Now, obviously, the goal with this is that you're going to be making a profit. So the more product you order at once, the cheaper it will be per unit. So if you were to order 1,000 units of cell phone cases, you might be able to get each individual cell phone case for $1, whereas you're going to go ahead and resell that for $12.99 or $14.99, $19.99, whatever the case is. So you're buying low, selling high, you're customizing the product, making it your own, but you're never actually hands-on with the product. So we'll get more into the details again in just a few. I want to just make a quick distinction between private labeling and white labeling. So if you go and look this up after the presentation, you might go ahead and see something called white label, which is similar, where you're buying the products in bulk. The difference is you're not going that extra step of putting your own logo on the product. So you're just buying the product and reselling it. And that works for some, but when you're selling on a platform like Amazon, customers really, really want to feel like they're getting their money's worth. So if you don't put the extra effort into putting your own logo on there, it's going to look cheap and it's going to just look like it's junk, and people will not be willing to pay, a good amount of money for that. So I would highly recommend that you do private label if you're going to go ahead and sell on Amazon's platform. So just wanted to kind of describe the difference there. So the other part of this is Amazon FBA. So FBA stands for Fulfillment by Amazon. And this means that you will have these products that you're having made, most likely in China. That's where I have all of my products made. They're sourced overseas. My suppliers in China put the logo on the products, and then they send the product directly to Amazon. So the product never comes to me at my home. I never actually see my products in bulk. I might have a sample or two, but that's the extent to which I deal with the products physically. They go directly to Amazon, and then Amazon, they're the ones who hold onto the product for you. They're the ones who pack it up and ship it out to the customers. So if anyone here were to go on Amazon right now, and let's say you're looking to buy, I don't know, let's call it a hairbrush. So you go, you type in hairbrush into Amazon, you find the one that you want. The second you click that you want to buy that product, a whole bunch of things start happening behind the scenes, which luckily you don't have to worry about. Amazon takes care of it all. But just for some perspective, they go, they find the product in the warehouse, they, find a box or bag that fits it, they pack it up, they send it to the customers without you as the seller having to do anything. So the sales are being made, but you're not physically doing anything to get it to the customers. You pay Amazon to do it. Yes, there's a fee associated with it, but it's completely worth it for one, the peace of mind of not having to deal with the product, and two, when you do Amazon FBA, you get that Prime checkmark status on your items. So now when someone is shopping, if they're like me, they might only buy products that have that Prime status because they want to make sure they get it within 2 days. So you get that automatically when you have your products fulfilled by Amazon. So here you can see the process. Step one, you send the products to Amazon FBA, or more likely your supplier will do that. Amazon will store your products. The customer purchases your products. Amazon picks and packs your products. Picks meaning they're just picking it out of the warehouse, packing it up, and then they ship it out to the customer for you. So that's a brief overview of how Amazon FBA works. So to kind of tie everything together, you get the products made in China, you have your logo put on them, they get sent to Amazon, Amazon sends it to the customer on your behalf. Okay, so Amazon FBA is the best business model for selling online in 2022 and beyond, especially for new sellers and people who don't have experience with selling products online, because you don't have to make your own website. You don't have to figure out payments. You don't have to do any of that. You kind of get that built-in trust because you're selling on Amazon.com. So now you don't have to convince people that your website is not shady. You don't have to kind of go that extra mile in terms of building up your reputation because you're selling on a platform that already has that. So you are getting kind of a jump start in that way. Highly, highly recommend looking into FBA if this is kind of your first time doing it. So let's get a little bit more into the details. How is this done? How do you know what product to sell? How do you know, what people are actually looking for? What is in demand? So let's get into it. So what you're going to do is flip for example, a $4 generic product into a $20 branded product that people will actually want to buy. So it's not so much about finding something that is the most unique product on earth. You don't have to do that. All you have to do is find a lane that you can kind of penetrate. And we're going to get into it in just a few. But in general, that is how you're making a profit. You're buying it for a lower price, obviously marking the price up. And the reason you're able to mark the price up is because you are doing the extra work of branding the product and customizing it to an extent so that you're able to stand out against the others who are also selling the same item as you. So the breakdown here, for example, let's say that you were looking to make a specific amount of money. I have an example here that some of my students like to use as kind of a goal. If you have a product and you're selling 30 units a day of that product and you're making a $5 profit, that would be $150 a day in profit. $150 a day times 30 days in a month, $4,500 in a month in profit. And this is if you're selling that 30 units a day. So you can kind of play with the numbers a little bit and be able to kind of see what the potential is. Not only if you sell just one product, of course, you have to start somewhere. So you start with the one, but looking into the future and building up your business, you can kind of see how you can scale and add on more products and really build up a legitimate business. Here's another example, again, just some inspo so that you can see that this is something that is doable. A student of mine, her name is Jasmine. She's a single mom. She spends a lot of time with her kids now. She's selling products, 60 units a day, which for her sounded really unrealistic in the beginning stages. But as we talk more, I think you'll see a little bit more how this is something that's doable for anyone. So with our very first topic, the secret to continual recurring income on Amazon. Be better, period. And I know that sounds very, very simple, but I'll explain a little bit more what I mean here. So I have a question for you all. As you are looking at these four options here for avocado slicers, peelers, whatever you want to call it, this item here. And if you're not familiar, it's something that can cut your avocado in half and then slice it so that you don't have to manually slice it with, a knife. So I am curious if you all were looking at these four options, which one is the most appealing to you? As I'm looking here, number four is often a very appealing choice. And, the reason is simple, it's a bundle, it has multiple different items included. So not only do you get the avocado slicer, but you're also getting the container so that you can keep your avocados fresh. And you also have another small add-on here so that you can cube them rather than just slicing them. Over here, sometimes people are attracted to something that's a different color. Sometimes people will only go with the one that's the absolute cheapest price. So this one here is a bit cheaper than, some of the other options. So every customer is going to be different and what they care about will vary. But there are some things that customers truly, truly focus on, especially on the Amazon platform compared to some of the others. So here I've laid it out for you. What customers actually care about when they're shopping on Amazon. The most important thing, reviews. So this is a really, really important metric to look at because you don't want to compete where the reviews are too high. If we go back to this example here with the avocado slicers, we can see that the one with the highest reviews is this one here. They have 25,000 reviews. So now if there's someone who's looking to choose a product to buy, if they don't care about color, they're more likely to go with this one because it has 25,000 reviews compared to 29 reviews. It's just, psychology, social proof. People want to buy products that, they feel that other people have tried and have enjoyed. So reviews are very important to pay attention to when you're looking for a product to potentially buy and resell on Amazon. Next thing would be photos. Obviously, people are buying or customers are buying these products without ever getting to touch the product, hold the product, feel the product. So they really have to go based off of the photos that you provide. So very important to have crisp and clear photos that they're able to zoom in on and really get a feel for the product before they actually move forward and make a purchase. And then last but not least, the no-brainer, the price point has to make sense in relation to the product that you're offering. You're not going to be able to sell an avocado slicer for $50. It just doesn't make sense. So you really have to look at what your competitors are selling for, and, kind of be realistic with what you have to offer. Sometimes you do have a better product than others, and that could justify a higher selling price. But you have to remember that there are going to be those customers, as I mentioned, who will always pick the cheapest option. So you want to make sure that your price is reasonable. Okay, so a couple of things that the customers do not care about. And the reason I included this slide here is because a lot of times when I'm working with folks who are new to selling on Amazon, they're stressing about these things and they're just not things that the customers will care about. So you shouldn't stress yourself out thinking of the perfect logo. It doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, most customers are not going to even pay attention to the logo. They just care that a logo is there. As far as what it looks like, you don't need to, spend weeks and months looking for the perfect logo. And it's also not something that you're stuck with forever. So if you end up wanting to change it later on, you can go ahead and do that. No harm, no foul. Whether you have an LLC or not, I don't know if this is a question that some of you might have in mind, but if you are someone who is brand new, you don't have an LLC or any type of business entity set up separate from what you're trying to do with Amazon, that's perfectly fine. I'm not a CPA, I'm not a lawyer, but you can sell as a sole proprietor. You don't have to run out and get an LLC just to start selling on Amazon. And also how much time it took for you to find the product. So sometimes people are able to find a good product to sell in a day. Sometimes people take a week or two. Everyone's going to be different in terms of how long it will take to find the product. But just because it takes you a little bit longer to find something that's worthwhile, it doesn't have any effect on whether your product will be successful or your business will be successful. So I say all that to say, focus on the things that actually matter, and everything else will kind of follow and come from that. Okay, so what should you do when you're looking to sell your products on Amazon? What you want to do is focus on increasing value. So improve on what's already being offered by enhancing the materials, the function, the ease of use, or the quality for the customer. So what this means is if you, again, the cell phone case idea, and it will come up again, it's such an easy example. If you're looking to sell a cell phone case, you want to make sure that you're doing something that's different from everyone else. So for example, I have my cell phone right here and it has a little ring on the back, and that's something that makes it stand out from just a plain cell phone case. Or you have ones that are more protective, so that's a differentiator. It is shatterproof. It will protect your phone from being cracked if it drops from 6 feet in the air or whatever the case is. So those are things that you can think about when you're trying to make your product stand out from everyone else's, and that will definitely help you sell more product when you have something that no one else has to offer. What you can also do is bundle your product to increase its perceived value. And yes, it can also increase the actual value, but perception is everything, especially when we're dealing with e-commerce. So when you have a product that has multiple components to it, it will a lot of times just look like it's worth more just based off of the fact that there's more included. So sometimes, when you're looking for a way to stand out and you can't increase the value by changing out the materials or anything else, bundling is a great, great way to go. And you'll be able to really stand out visually as people are scrolling through the first page. They're going to see yours and say, wow, I'm going to get so much more for this bundle, and I'm willing to pay a bit more for that as well. And finally, my best trick for looking at what you can do to make the product better is to read the reviews of the top sellers that are in your niche and try to get an idea of what the customers like and dislike. That way, you can go ahead and make the improvements based off of what people are saying and not just based off of what your assumptions are of what people want. And that's something that I did myself when I started out. I just was thinking, well, if I were buying it, then this is what I would like. But you're not selling to yourself, you're selling to other customers on Amazon. So read the reviews and see what people are complaining about. What is something that they wish, the products have? Is there something that people are complaining about across the spectrum? Is it that the product is too small? Is it that it's too lightweight? Are they looking for a thicker material? Those are all indicators of things that you can address when you're talking to your supplier and have them make those improvements so that you're able to kind of capture those customers who are not getting what they need. Now, on the flip side, what should you not do? So, don't jump into a mature or competitive market. It'll be very, very hard to stand out. So, there are going to be those products that, they've had their time. They have become very, very popular, very saturated, very competitive. So, you don't want to be selling products like that. For example, that would be something like slime kits. I'm not sure if you all have seen that product, but they were very, very popular. Things like fidget spinners, which had their day in 2017. At this point, there's not really a demand for it. It's very competitive, very saturated. So there are niches where you'll have a much better chance of being successful because the competition is a lot lower. What you don't want to do also is to compete on very easy things that people could copy. So, for example, the color of a product. If everyone else has a green one, like with the avocado slicer example, and you have a blue one, yes, you are standing out, but it's not a very strong differentiator. The next person could go and also just make a blue one. And now you have nothing that sets yours apart. So you want to dig a little deeper and see if there's something else you can do to differentiate your product. And then when we're talking about the price point, it's not enough to just come in and undercut everyone else and expect that to sustain your product and be a long-term solution for differentiating yourself, because now your competitors could also go and lower their price and match yours, and now everyone's selling for a super cheap price and then no one's making money. So definitely lean more on making improvements to the product that will be a little bit harder to replicate. And then lastly, pick up what you don't want to do is pick a product where all the sellers on the first page look identical. So again, that means that there's not a lot that you can do to make the product better. I'm not sure if you all have ever shopped on Amazon, where maybe you were looking for a gift or something and you're on the first page and you just don't know which one to pick because they all look exactly the same. So a lot of times customers are subconsciously looking for something that stands out. So if you're able to really find that one way that you can provide something that no one else has, but then also showcase it so that customers can see it right as they're scrolling, you'll definitely get a lot more clicks, a lot more traffic, and more traffic will lead to more sales as they convert. So definitely pay attention to those things. So the next topic that I want to get into is the number one mistake new sellers make when starting with Amazon FBA and how to avoid it. I mentioned that this is a mistake that I made in the beginning. So this is picking a first product based off of hobbies or temporary trends alone. So a lot of times what happens is, someone new to selling on Amazon might say, I really love working out. So I'm going to sell resistance bands, or I'm going to sell dumbbells or yoga mats. And there's nothing wrong with selling things that you like. In fact, that is the best case scenario, is that you're selling something that you like and also something that there's a demand for and that kind of matches up with the data. And we'll talk more about numbers in just a few, versus, just going and trying to pick something that just is an interest of yours alone. It has to also have the numbers to kind of back it up. And then when I talk about temporary trends, I mean things that, they just come and go. You never know if something is going to kind of stand the test of time. And if you're trying to build a business off of a trendy product, what happens when the demand for that product goes away? Now you have all this inventory that you're not going to be able to get rid of because people just don't care about the product anymore. So it's very important to kind of look beyond that and really have an open mind to all different types of products. I have to tell you that I sell 5 different products on Amazon, and 3 out of the 5 are products that I had never heard of before I started to sell them. And I'm really an advocate for just looking and just going wherever your research takes you, even if it's into maybe a niche that you aren't very familiar with. Like fishing, for example, is not something I know a lot about, but there are great products that you can sell that cater to people who enjoy fishing or golf, or there are lots of different things that you can sell. So have an open mind there and you'll be in a better position. So big mistake, only selling those types of products that you're familiar with. So you want to launch a product that will sell based on concrete data, not just things that you like or are familiar with. So here's the example I was mentioning a little bit before, the dreaded cell phone case, which is a terrible product for Amazon simply because there is really high competition. For anyone who's curious, what I'm showing you right here is a screenshot from a software, and this is the software that I use. All of my students use it as well, and it really gives you a lot of information to look at and help you really pick a good product to sell on Amazon that will help you become profitable. So here I typed in cell phone cases because I was curious about, what the numbers look like. And right off of the bat, we can see all of this really good information, revenue, how much money everyone who is selling this product is making, over $1 million. Average revenue per seller, $88,000. That's a very high number. Average selling price. And then I'll just point out here, average reviews. So across this keyword here, cell phone case, the average reviews is over 5,000, which is very, very, very high. So just for reference, what I teach is that the average review should be 200 or less. So this would be way outside of the parameters for, what would be a good beginner product. I also wanted to just kind of show a little bit of information here in terms of how revenue corresponds with review count. So here I ordered the items from highest to lowest revenue. The top seller of cell phone cases, they have a review count of 23,000 reviews. That is a lot of social proof, okay? If someone is looking to buy a product, and they're really into reviews, they really care about how other people feel about the product, it's going to be very hard to compete here. Even as we continue to go down, we see, different sellers making different amounts of money. And one thing that has in common is that the higher the review count, the higher the revenue, and vice versa. So you really want to find these items where the review count is lower so that you're able to compete with them. So as we can see here, revenue is tightly correlated with review count. Now, here's another example of a different product where the revenue is also correlated with the review count. However, you can see that the reviews are much, much lower here. So let's just say that you were a new seller and you were looking to launch a product. If you had 0 reviews or 1 or 2 reviews, it would be a much easier sell to a customer to go with yours. Even if they had this option of 144, there's not as big of a difference between 144 and 0 compared with 23,000 and 0. I hope that's making sense. So definitely look for these niches where the reviews are on the lower end so that you have an easier time when you actually start selling your product. So we're going to move into the third topic, which is my framework for choosing products that will make incredible sales. Now, there are some things that are very, very important here, and I've kind of ordered them in what is most important. All of these things are important, but you really can't move forward with a product unless the competition is low. And the reason I emphasize this so much is because if you are going ahead into a higher competition niche, for example, let's say you wanted to sell supplements or beard oil, these are kind of saturated products. You're going to have to spend a lot of money on ads in order to compete with these sellers who have high reviews and who have been around for a very long time. So the lower the competition, the easier your life is going to be when you actually go to launch the product. And, that's kind of the goal here, is to make this doable and not getting yourself into something that's going to end up costing you a lot more money down the road. So low competition is a non-negotiable in my book. You want something where there's high demand. So are people actually looking for this product? Is there enough searches per month that justify selling the product? So there's a metric that you can look at on Amazon called keyword search volume. And what that tells you is how many people are searching for this specific thing every single month. So, we're going into the holiday season now. I'm sure that Christmas trees are in very high demand, or things to decorate for Thanksgiving. These are things that are coming up. So, high demand is very, very important as you are doing your product research. An open market, this is something that we're going to look more into. So I'll just kind of skip over that one for now, but we will dig into that one a little bit more. Something that is consistent. So this means that it's not something that is trendy, as we've talked about before, or seasonal. So I just used that example of Christmas trees, for example. That is not going to be something that sells consistently throughout the year. Once December is over and really probably right when Christmas hits, Christmas trees are going to just tank in demand. People are not going to be looking for them. And so, you want to still be able to make money year round. So you want to find something that sells consistently. So that means we're not selling things that are only for Valentine's Day, or things that are only used during the summertime, because then the rest of the year, there's not going to be much movement in terms of your sales. Next, something that you can be profitable with. So profitability just depends on, are you making money after everything else is accounted for? So the cost of the product, let's say you have a $2 product, your Amazon fees are $6, that's $8 right there. So if you're going to sell your product and be profitable, you want to be selling it for $14.99 or more if you can. So it's very important that you kind of do that math ahead of time so that you're not wasting time with products that are not going to be worth the effort. So anything that's going to make you only $1 or $2 for each one that you sell is probably not worth the effort. And you want to focus on something that's going to make you $5 at least for each one that you sell. And then last but not least, low cost. So for a very first product, we don't want to be selling products that are expensive or that are going to cost us too much out of pocket. Most businesses cost money to get started, so obviously there's an investment involved. However, you don't want to go too hard and now spend, $10 per unit on a product. That's going to be a lot of money that you're putting in upfront. So I would highly, highly recommend looking for a product that is $4 or less per unit. That way you can kind of start a bit more moderately, generate some cash flow. And then if you want to invest in a higher cost product, you can do so by all means. But in the beginning, definitely keep it, more modest. So $4 or less would be the goal there. So I did tell you we would focus a little bit more on this concept of an open market. So how do you know if there's even an opportunity to sell a certain product? I would focus on these specific things here. The majority of the top sellers have bad reviews. So lower than a 4-star rating is a very good indicator that there's something that people are not liking. There's something that you can improve on. So like I mentioned before, digging into those reviews is definitely going to give you more insight into what that problem is and how you can address it. So here's an example of a product. It's a portable fuzz remover that you could use to kind of clean up your couch if your pet is furry, or maybe you have something that leaves a lot of hair behind. There's something that people don't like here. So kind of digging into that, you can see if there's an opportunity for an improvement. Another thing, this is something that is like a pet peeve of mine for sure as a customer. If I see that there is bad grammar, bad spelling, overall, just the quality of the listing is not there, it makes me feel more nervous to buy the product. I just wonder, what is the quality going to be like if they didn't even care to spell check? So this is something that could also be an opportunity for you to improve, and just kind of see if you can make the listing look a little bit more legitimate. Minimum amount of photos or bad quality images. This product here only has one singular photo, nothing special here. Amazon does allow you to add up to 7 photos. So you want to make sure that you use as many photos as you can to show off the product and put different angles and infographics and, kind of zoom in on different features so that the customer, once again, gets that feel of what they're getting when they buy your product. Competitors have poor packaging, and this is especially important with very fragile items. In fact, I don't recommend that you sell anything that's fragile, anything that's glass or easily breakable, just because that's going to be more of a headache in case they get damaged in transit coming from overseas or when Amazon is handling them. So you definitely want to be careful if you're going to do a product like this. Make sure that the packaging can protect the product and that the customer is going to get their product in good shape. If not, you're going to have all of these reviews that have all of these negative things, like it's cheaply made or broken hand, waste of money. Of course, there are some positive things here, but you want to try to avoid that if you can. And then opportunity to differentiate and improve on the products, meaning the pain point is not addressed. So is there something that you could do a little bit better? With this example here, all of these artificial sunflowers kind of look the same. For me, I don't know, I probably would just go with this option here simply because it's the cheapest one. But that's me. Other people might prioritize, this one over here with the highest reviews, or maybe they'll buy this one because they like this main image. It looks a little bit different. It's in a vase compared with these other ones. So, look for different ways that you can kind of stand out. With this product, I might include extra stems of a different product, maybe some cotton or something if they want to make an arrangement. I might include some twine that they could use to maybe tie the flowers together for a more like farmhousey look. These are just things off the top of my head that I might look into for differentiating the product. And then one last thing that you can look at to see if there might be opportunity in a specific niche or market is that there are not many prime offers. So for this example here, it's a massage chair, which is a very, very large product, a very heavy product. That is why I suspect that these sellers are choosing to fulfill the orders themselves rather than having Amazon do it, because Amazon would charge a lot in fees because it's so heavy and large. So when you're looking to see if there are any opportunities here because no one else is offering it through Prime, you also want to kind of think a little bit broader. Why is it that, no one is selling it through Prime? Is it because the fees are too high, which I suspect would be the case here with this oversized product? So those are some things that you can look into in terms of looking for a more open market. So as a recap of kind of what we've talked about, we talked about the secret to recurring income on Amazon, making sure that you are not simply copying a product, you're differentiating the product, you're making it better, you're making those improvements to make sure that your listing and your offering is more appealing to customers as they're scrolling through. The number one mistake new sellers make is buying products that they personally like without checking to make sure that the data backs up that product, and doing the proper research into the niche. And then last but not least, the framework for picking products that will make you incredible sales. Start with low competition and work your way up from that pyramid that I put together there, including making sure that there's enough demand for the product, that it's something that is low cost, something that you can be profitable with, and also looking at the broader niche and ensuring that there is an opportunity for you there.